Okay, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to start the Berenstain Bears Bear Scouts Meet Big Paw. Now this is a part of a really quick chapter book series that they did. I remember in the late 80s, don't ask me exactly when. But it didn't run for very much longer. I don't remember it 95, so somewhere before that would be my answer. So again, very quick time. But they have a couple of them, but I managed to find this one at work. And so we're going to start with Big Paw. And here we go. There is 18 chapters in this, so this will either be broken down into 3 or 4 videos. So here we go. Chapter 1. Exciting plans. It has been a disappointing winter for the Bear Scouts. Oh, they'd had fun. They'd gone sledding on Dead Bear's Hill, ice fishing on Lake Grizzly, and skating on Farmer Ben's duck pond. Oh, that's nice. But they hadn't been able to do much scouting. They did earn one merit badge. It was for cross-country skiing. That was because the snow was so deep, skis were the only way they could get to school during the much of the winter. Can you imagine having so much snow that the only way you can get to school is via skis? No, thank you. I don't like the cold. Hot is hot, but I don't like the cold. But now the sun was riding higher in the sky, and the first sign of spring, come on, fingers, was beginning to show. There was still lots of snow, but here and there, blue and yellow crocuses were starting to peep through. I love blue and yellow crocuses, as I always know. There were a whole bunch of other snowbirds that have been heading north. Their places were being taken by robins and mockingbirds. Ugh. There was still enough snow on the ground so that Scout brother, sister, Fred, and Lizzie were able to cross-country ski all the way to their secret chicken coop clubhouse at the far edge of Farmer Brown's farm. That's a weird place to have a clubhouse, but okay. Especially on a chicken farm. If you've never been on one, good. There wasn't any heat in their clubhouse, so it was almost as cold inside as it was outside. They bundled up. Scouts gathered around Scout Brother, who was looking through the Bear Scout handbook. Now that spring was on the way, the Bear Scouts were looking for something exciting to do. Here it is, said Scout Brother, merit badges. Yeah, said Scout Fred. Let's find an exciting one to try for. If you've never been Scout, or you've never been a Girl Scout, or a Boy Scout, or a Bear Scout, I suppose, you do certain activities to get your merit badges. My sister and I had vests when we started. We were brownies, and all the way up to Girl Scouts. And we had lots of merit badges. Whatever our troop leaders decided, that's what we got. Said Scout Brother. How about computer merit badge? Don't think so, said Scout Lizzie. Map making merit badge, said Scout Brother. Not exactly exciting, said Fred. Basket weaving merit badge, said Brother. Forget it, said Sister. Hey, here's one that sounds exciting, said Brother. Rock climbing merit badge. Now you're talking, said Lizzie. That's more like it, said Fred. I can see us now, said Sister, all harnessing together as we rock climb up the sheer face of some mighty mountain. Wait a minute, said Scout Lizzie. What's the little mark after where it says rock climbing merit badge? There's an asterisk, said Fred. An asterisk? What, said Sister? Asterisk, said Fred, who read the dictionary just for fun. Oh, it is pronounced as-teric. The mark used in printing to indicate a footnote. That's exactly what it is. All right, Mr. Smarthead. I'll bite, said Sister. What's the footnote? Fred pointed to the bottom of the page. There was another asterisk with some words beside it. That, he said, is the footnote. Brother read the footnote aloud. Bear Scouts earning this badge must be supervised by a qualified adult. The Bear Scout's smile turned into frowns. So much for rock climbing, said Scout Lizzie. I can see us now, said Scout Sister. Up to our ears in reeds and straw, trying for that good old basket weaving merit badge. Don't give up on the rock climbing so fast. Sorry, my fingers would not hold the page open. Said Scout Brother, don't we have a qualified adult who might be willing to help us? Think about it. The rest of the troops thought about it. Of course they shouted, Professor. Actually Factual. I'm guessing the professor's name is Actually Factual. Okay. Right, said Scout Brother. He's always climbing up some cliffs to collect plants and moss and stuff. I'll bet he's climbed just about every rock, cliff, and mountain in Bear County. Things were looking up. Professor Actual Factual was a good friend that was usually willing to help. Slogan time, said Scout Brother. He picked up a ski pole. The other scouts did the same. Then, with their ski poles crossed, they shouted, one for all and all for one. Do you really think Professor Actual Factual will agree to help us get our rock climbing merit badge? Said Scout Fred. There's only one way to find out, said Brother. Let's go ask him. Pretty soon the Bear Scouts were skiing towards the Berenstain Institute, which was the home and workplace of Professor Actual Factual, Bear County's leading scientist. It was a little rocky because the snow was getting patchy, and a couple of places they had to take the long way around. Okay, so spring really is upon them. Chapter 2. Something's coming, something big. Part of the south in a strange and distant place called Sinister Swamp. There wasn't a trace of snow or even much dry land. There were just trees and muddy water as far as the eye could see, which wasn't very far. So thick were the tangled vines and moss that hung from the trees. All was quiet in Sinister Swamp, except for the drip, 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 drip of the wet vines, the sound of a frog plopping into the muddy water, and the splash of fish reaching for their low-flying dragonflies. All was still, except for a lizard who was tasting the air, a snapping turtle who was looking for lunch, and a great horned owl who glided down for a snack of snake. But wait, something was happening in Sinister Swamp. Something strange, something frightening. Frogs, lizards, and snapping turtles made themselves scarce. Great horned owls hid under its own wings. Even the huge swamp croc, who feared nothing, hunkered down and pretended they were half-sunken rotten logs. It was as though some swamp radar had warned the creatures of Sinister Swamp that something was coming. Something big. I wonder what it is. Chapter 3. The Professor Works Things Out. As I understand it, said Professor Actual Factual, you want me to help you earn a rock mountain merit badge. A rock climbing mountain. Oh my god. A rock climbing merit badge. That's right, Professor, said Scout Brother. Be happy to do so, said the Professor. As a matter of fact, I'm planning some fossil hunting in the mountains, so your time is excellent. Now, if you'll excuse me, friends, I must be getting back to the office. I have a great deal to do. Hold on, I gotta fix this because it feels like my head is being cut off, and that's just unnecessary. Okay. But Professor, said Scout Sister, you are in your office. The Professor looked around. So I am, he said. My goodness, it is a mess, isn't it? Well, you just bring me a note from Scout Leader Jane, and how is that dear sweet person? And we can begin fitting you out for rock climbing gear. That's another thing, Professor, said Brother. Scout Leader Jane might be a little nervous about our going for the rock climbing badge. It might help if you talk to her first about it. Fine, said the Professor, reaching for the phone. I'll call her right now. Why don't you wait till the party, said Brother. We'll both be there. Party, said the Professor. What party? This one, said Scout Lizzie. We had fished an invitation out of the jumble of mail on Actual Factual's desk. This man is like any other scientist. We don't always know what people are doing in their offices. They just don't. They could be the brightest minds and have the most cluttered workspace. Ah, yes, said Professor Actual Factual. Readings by Grizzly Grand. Nonsense, of course, but charming nonsense. It was settled. The Professor would work things out with Scout Leader Jane. The Bear Scouts said goodbye, got back on their skis, and headed home. Chapter 4. Much, much bigger than the average bear. Meanwhile, back in Sinister Swamp, fear was in the air. Something was coming, something big. But what was it? Whatever it was, the thunder of its mighty footsteps could be heard in the distance and felt. The whole swamp seemed to shake as it pounded closer and closer. To the pounding footsteps, add the crackle and crush of undergrowth and thickets, even trees being torn away, when at last it broke through the tangled the tangled tic-tacked toes of trees, branches, and swamps. Swamp creatures couldn't... Oh, wait, is that the right... branches, the swamp creatures couldn't believe what they saw. It was a bear, but what a bear. A monster of a bear. Much, much, much bigger than the average bear. With legs like trees with knees. Feet like hay bales, shoulders like boulders, and arms that just didn't quit. At the end of those arms, big paws. Bam. One of those paws tore at the tangle. The other held a cub the size of a small tree. Correction, it wasn't a cub at all. Oh, he said club. I'm sorry. I'm like, where is this coming from about a tree? I'm sorry. It's not cub, a club. I didn't see the L. We're going to be okay. Maybe I should put my glasses on, huh? It wasn't a club at all, but some sort of great long banjo. As a gigantic banjo-carrying bear moved through the forest, he began to sing. As he sang, he strummed. Sorry. And so, you know what? This is ridiculous. And so, strumming and singing, he told one and all who he was and what he was about. You can have your Sasquatch, your abominable snowman. He broke it up into many syllables. Abominable snowman. My name is Big Paw. I'm bigger than them all. One thing I like to do is eat, and when I eat, I chomp and chaw, and grind and tear, and rip and claw. So remember my name. My name is Big Paw. That is a heck of a rhyme. Sasquatch. Harry, so oddly enough, it gives us a footnote next to the word Sasquatch inside the book, and it goes right to the bottom of the footnote where the asterisk is. So the first one is Sasquatch, hairy creature said to live in the Olympian Mountains of the United States Northwest. And the next one is Abominable Snowman, hairy creature said to live in the Himalayan mountains of Central Asia. Yetis, all of it, Bigfoots, we've heard them all. The swamp creatures watched him tear off tree branches and chew it up as if it were a stalk of celery. He was something to see, this giant bear who shook the very air with his strumming and singing. Frogs, lizards, and turtles watched from their hiding place. Great horned owls cracked an eye and stared. Even half-sunken rotting logs opened their yellow eyes and took in the show. You can have your Sasquatch, your... Okay, I feel like we're repeating. We're not. It's going to be okay. Your abominable snowman. My name is Big Paw. I'm bigger than them all. Something else I do is dance, and when I do, I womp and tromp. I pound the ground and shake the swamp. So remember my name. My name is Big Paw. As good as his words, the great creature not only shook the swamp, he left all the swamp creatures badly shaken. They'd remember his name, all right. As the great bear crashed out of sight, they all breathed a sigh of relief. I just realized I had sunglasses on top of my head. It's nothing like two pairs of glasses. Chapter 5. Grizzly Gran does her thing. Just gonna take a quick sip of something. The bear family and their neighbors welcome spring each year with a street party. Okay, sorry about that. Everybody in my house is very hungry, so you probably will hear the little air fryer make a beep, beep, beep. Sorry about that. You know, somebody recently just asked me why I do this, where I hit pause and then I say I'm so sorry and I explain to you. Well, quite simply, it's because I told everybody this is what real life is. It is not perfect. Sometimes you gotta stop in the middle of a book and go deal with something you don't want to. So back to the book. Alright. Grizzly Gran does her thing. This was chapter 5. The Bear family and their neighbors welcomed spring each year with a street party. The road between the Bear family treehouse and Farmer Ben's farm was closed to traffic. Banners were stretched across the road, and party balloons were tied to fence posts. It was a covered dish party. Everybody brings their own casserole, is what that means. All kinds of Bear County goodies were brought by the guests. It was a friendly party with folks getting back in touch after a long, hard winter. Farmer and Mrs. Ben were chatting with Mama and Papa Bear. Even Chief Bruno and Ralph Ripoff, who didn't always get along, seemed to be getting along. "What's he doing here?" said Farmer Ben. "I'm afraid Papa invited him," said Mama. "Ralph's not so bad," said Papa. "He's got some good ideas." "The trouble," said Mama, "is that most of them are crocked." "Well, I just don't trust anybody who wears a straw hat and spats," grumped Farmer Ben. The Bear Scouts had their share of run-ins with Ralph, but at the moment they were much more interested in the talk that was taking place between Scout Leader Jane and Professor Actual Factual. "Do you think Scout Leader Jane will go along with our rock climbing idea?" said Scout Lizzie. "Oh, wait, find out." Okay, come on, fingers. "My guess is yes," said Scout Fred. "The professor can wrap Scout Leader Jane around his little finger." "I don't know about little finger," said Scout Brother, "but the professor is giving us a thumbs up." "Way to go," said Scout Fred. "Great Grizzly Mountain, here we come," said Scout Sister. The Bear Scouts were feeling good. They were on their way to a really big time merit badge. It felt like slogan time, but the Scouts never did their all for one slogan in public, so they quietly exchanged low fives. Then they joined the rest of the guests. Papa was about to make an announcement. He climbed up on a stump and called out over the party chatter. "Come close, friends, and welcome spring. Watch Grizzly Gran do her thing." Grizzly Gran's thing was fortune-telling. Gramps liked to tease her about it. Yep, he liked to say, "Gran'll read anything. Crystal balls, palms, tea leaves, leftover mashed potatoes, dust devils under the bed, anything." Which wasn't exactly true, but almost. Her favorite thing to read was a dripping, honey-rich honeycomb. I don't know that I've ever heard of that, but... And her favorite time to read it was the spring party. Okay, to see what is held ahead. The guests gathered round. They looked forward to Gran's reading. They knew it was all in fun, but sometimes she got things right. Like the time she predicted that Bess Ms. McGrizz's old hound dog would have sextuplets. That's a lot of puppies. That's 6. If you predict enough stuff, pooed Gramps. Oh, so he was kind of saying, whatever. "You're bound to get something right." Maybe so, but there was an air of excitement as everybody, including the Bear Scouts, gathered close. Everything was ready. Papa had Mama's big black frying pan. Mama held a bag of flour. Papa placed the frying pan on the stump. Mama sprinkled flour into the pan until its bottom was white. Gramps tied a piece of string to the honeycomb. It may have been all in fun, but even Professor Actual Factual watched closely as Gran held the drippings dribbling honeycomb over the frying pan. Ever so gently, she let it swing to and fro, round and round over the flour-coated pan. As she did so, she said in her spookiest fortune-telling voice, "Honeycomb dribble, honeycomb drip. What holds the future? Big money? A trip? Grizzly black, grizzly gray. Tell us the fortune. Tell us today." That's a mouthful. Then poof. Gran blew as hard as she could. The flour that wasn't stuck to the pan made a great cloud. Since Gramps was closest, most of the flour got on him. The Bear Scouts laughed. You look like a ghost, Gramps, said Scout's sister, but it was Gran staring at the flour left in the pan who looked like she had really seen a ghost, because there, in the frying pan, was a giant flour footprint. Just ignore it. I'm so sorry. Gran stared at it as if it were the last thing she wanted to see, the sign of Big Paw, she gasped. Then she added in a frightening whisper, "And he's headed this way." "Oh dear," said Mama. "Impossible," said Papa. "Gracious," said Mrs. Ben. "If he shows up at my place, I'll be ready with a loaded shotgun," said Ben. "Now, Ben," said Chief Bruno, "I'll have no taking the law into your own hands. I must oh God. I must caution you. Caution you, Gran," said the mayor, who had a way of getting the fronts and the backs of his words mixed up. A prediction like that can cause a panic. So I guess the mayor is like so flabbergasted he's mixing his words up. And I knew the word was supposed to be caution, but he wrote gaution. My apologies. This is what happens when you're dyslexic. You very quickly figure out what people are trying to text you because you're like, what other letters are around that one button? Can't help that, Mr. Mayor, said Gran's. "Goodness, don't you think I'd rather predict 6 tuplets or a good corn crop if it was up to me? But it's not up to me. I gotta call them as I see them." Prediction predictions give me an appetite. Come on, Gramps, let's put on the feed bags. The crowd began to drift towards the food tables. The Bear Scouts found themselves next to the professor. "It's all set," he said. "Be at the Berenstain tomorrow morning for your first rock climbing lesson." "We'll be there," said Scout Brother. "And thanks for working things out with Scout Leader Jane. But I have a question, Professor. What the heck is a big paw?" The professor chuckled. "No disrespect to your grandmother, of course, but it's pure superstition. There is not, never was, and never will be any such thing as big paw. On second thought, let me change that. Take out never was, but come, let us put on the feed bag, or let us seek refreshments." Can't be, me speaking to everybody. So we're going to stop here. We'll pick up on chapter 6. When we come back, I'll fight these people so they can eat their dinner. Because apparently chicken and onion rings is what everybody voted on. Don't ask me how I'm serving that. Maybe like a wrap with barbecue sauce? Let me know. Alright, you guys have a great evening. And be back for the second part and third part for this. Bye.